Imagine this. You're a kid playing in the backyard on a hot summer day. Suddenly, splash! A blast of water hits you. You spin around, and there it is. A bright, colorful, air-powered super soaker, one of the greatest water toys of all time. Now imagine the person who invented it. Not as a toy maker, but as a NASA scientist, working on space missions and nuclear power systems. Welcome to Believe It or Not, the show where weird is real and the truth is stranger than fiction. I'm your host, Bryan, and today's story is about brains, water, and one man's splashy invention. Here's the question. What do Mars missions and squirt guns have in common? Stick around to find out. Meet Lonnie Johnson. He's an engineer, inventor, and yes, the brilliant mind behind the Super Soaker. Lonnie was born in 1949 in Alabama, USA. As a child, he was always inventing, taking things apart, building his own toys, and dreaming big. At just 13 years old, he built a working go-kart using a lawnmower engine. People didn't always take him seriously. Some teachers even told him he'd never make it as an engineer. But Lonnie didn't listen. He worked hard, studied science, and eventually became an engineer for the U.S. Air Force. And then for NASA. At NASA, Lonnie worked on the Galileo mission to Jupiter, the Cassini mission to Saturn, and even helped design power systems for the stealth bomber. He was a real-life rocket scientist. But how did a space scientist invent a water gun? Well, in 1982, Lonnie was working on a new kind of cooling system using water and air pressure. He built a small prototype in his bathroom, and when he tested it, a massive stream of water shot across the room. It was so powerful, it made him laugh. He thought, this would be an awesome toy. And so, he began building what would eventually become the Super Soaker, a pressurized water blaster unlike anything else on toy store shelves. But the journey wasn't easy. Toy companies said no. Again and again. It took 7 years before a company finally said yes. In 1990, the Super Soaker was released, and it exploded in popularity. By 1991, it had made over $200 million in sales. Kids couldn't get enough, and neither could grown-ups. And that's true. I remember my first Super Soaker, my brother's first Super Soaker, and my sister's first Super Soaker. They were all different sizes, different colors, and they made summertime a real adventure. But Lonnie didn't just stop there. He used his money to fund other inventions, including advanced batteries and solar technology. He's also a champion for kids in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, and math, encouraging future inventors to never give up. And here's a fun fact. Lonnie Johnson has over 120 patents. And the Super Soaker is in the National Toy Hall of Fame, as it should be. So, what do Mars missions and squirt guns have in common? One genius named Lonnie Johnson. Now let's think about this. First, have you ever had an idea that people didn't believe in? Next, what would you invent if you had the tools, time, and support? In closing, Lonnie Johnson, his story reminds us that big ideas can come from anywhere, even a bathroom experiment gone splashy. Whether you're building rocket parts or water toys, science is all about curiosity, creativity, and sometimes getting a little wet. That's it for today's episode of Believe It or Not. If you've ever played with a super soaker, now you know the incredible science and determination behind it. And don't miss next episode. It's about the day it actually rained fish from the sky in Australia. Yes, real fish falling from the clouds. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the truth is weirder than fiction.